Welcome to the most Boston edition of Stub Stories. I'm Sylvia. I'm that friend who gets you into shows, yet you don't know what I do for a living.
And I'm Ricky. I'm the friend who's probably begging you to come to shows with me for bands that you've never heard of. This week, we're talking about Massachusetts natives, the Dropkick Murphys. That's it.
That's the episode.
Yeah, that
Thanks. Thanks,
cut it there.
everybody. That's all we're doing. So, Ricky, when was the first time you saw the Dropkicks?
All right. So the first time I saw Dropkick Murphys was, I guess, like relatively late in my punk rock life. It was 2004. I saw them. They played the so Warped Tour did those two dates for the 10th anniversary at Gillette Stadium, and Dropkicks played the second day, which was like the official 10-year party. So that was my first time seeing them. I think I don't have a stub
So,
for a time before that, so I'm
so we
guessing
could have
that was it.
met. So we could have met in person in 2004 because that was my Warp Tour. That was also the.
Ah,
I also had met Tom Brady for the first time
nice. Oh,
at
this
that
is
Warp Tour.
such a
Yeah,
Boston episode.
so he did see the drop kicks that day. So that was very, but he was still, not Tom Brady. He was Tom Brady. So anyway, didn't mean to interrupt
No, it's
your
all. I mean,
recollection.
hey, if you ever want to interrupt me with Tom Brady stories, it's completely fine.
Yep.
But yeah, so that was my first time seeing them that I can remember. And it was cool because so I had a friend who burnt gave me a burned copy of their live record, the live from St. Patrick's Day from 2002-ish.
That
Um,
was their first one, you know.
the first live one.
No, the first St. Patrick's Day, it started in 2002 at Avalon. That was the first one. That's where it
Okay.
started. Yep.
Yeah, so I know that was recorded over like three
Watch
or
it be
four
wrong.
different shows. Either it was the first live record. We can at least
Yeah.
go with that.
Okay.
Um, But yeah, so I had that and I listened to it. I didn't know a single thing about this band. I was just given a handful of burnt CDs, and this is one of them, and I was obsessed. Um, Kind of along the lines of like that live Blink record where you know everything that's said in between the songs. So like that became a thing that I did a lot. And then yeah, getting to see them at that Warped Tour was awesome. They brought out Rancid, I think for the last song, which was unbelievable. I remember they did a cover of Fairy Tale of New York from the Pogues at that set, which that was the first time I ever heard that song. So like that weird little half hour set kind of introduced me to a whole bunch of different things. Like I loved Rancid, but I that was the first day I saw Rancid too, but I'd never seen them play with another band. And it was cool because my first time seeing Dropkicks. It was, I think might have even been the first time that Dropkicks played Tessie was at that show. Because it was, I know it came out that summer, and I don't think they were on a tour. I think this would have been kind of a like a one-off show, and then they would have done like a fall tour at that point. And I'm pretty sure that was the first time they played Tessie. If not, it was like right around then. So that was really cool. And then we all know how that ended like 2 months later. Sox won the World Series. It's like a whole thing. But yeah, so that was my first time seeing them. And then I've seen them probably like 9 or 10 times over the last 20, 15, well, 20 years, I guess. Wow. Couple
Wow,
of the St.
2004.
Patrick's. I know,
That's
isn't
20
that
years.
insane? It's so insane. So yeah, I've seen them like 9 or 10 times that I can remember. I've seen different iterations of that band. I know some of the guys had side projects, and I would randomly find my way into those. I saw them at the Palladium. So my favorite time ever seeing them was the Palladium. It was the only time I saw them inside at the Palladium. It's like 2006.
Mhm.
It was the Warriors Code tour. I want to say it was like the second leg, and they did like kind of did B markets because like I feel like they would have done Boston on like that first tour of that record, but they did the
It
Palladium inside.
was, yeah, I think by then they were doing their St. Patrick's Day weekends.
Yeah, yeah,
So they would try to cover all the venues in Massachusetts. That's always been the cool thing about them. That they, yes, they have their home bases. I always think of Avalon, House of Blues, now MGM, right? That's them. But they try to cover every venue. Like when Roadrunner opened, they were there. You know, like they
Oh, that's
try to,
cool.
they cover all these venues because and even Big Night Live, they play like all these venues just because they can't, right?
Yeah, you got
That's
to do
just
it.
that's just again, this is the most Boston episode with the most Boston band. So of course, I mean, we're gonna play all the venues. So when you say secondary to them, it's not. I mean, I know that those guys have been to the Palladium a lot and roughed it up in the pits. So for sure, they are fans of other bands that play these venues too. So
Oh
anyway,
yeah. No, so it was cool. That one, I remember that one specifically because it for me it was the first time I ever heard Shipping Up to Boston. That, live. I had heard it on the record and stuff. But it wasn't Jonathan Papelbon's song yet. And it wasn't in The Departed yet. So it was just
yep.
this like cool little like it's either the last song or the second to last song on that record. Kind of a not a throwaway, but like a random end of the CD thing. And they played it like middle of the set. And people were going absolutely insane. And all I kept thinking was like, oh, this would be so sick at like a Bruins game. Like, what a cool song. Kind of forgot about it. And then like Papelbon started using it. It was in The Departed, and now it's like the anthem of the
For everything.
region.
Yeah, and I get really offended when another region uses it
Really?
because it's the most Boston of all songs, I think.
Well, okay, so
Well,
I
obviously, Boston's in the song.
the first like official song on the live record is For Boston, which
Mhm.
is in my
True.
opinion the best song ever about
Mhm.
Boston, and I
Yeah,
love it, and I wish I
it's so
don't know if they
chaotic.
still play it
For
live. Yeah.
Boston.
Yeah, it's just like insanity. And I remember like whenever I would see them and they'd play that, it was like my favorite moment of the entire
Mhm.
show because it's just
Yep. You want to mosh
chaos.
to that for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Or and
I
like
could throw down back in the day. Why are you looking at me
I
weird?
couldn't. My glasses would have broke. I had to stay safe.
I could throw down.
I could throw that. But yeah, have
But
you ever seen the Murphys?
of course, I've worked
Nice.
the first Murphy show I worked it in 2000. It was at the Palladium where
Nice.
I've seen most of my shows early on. And that again, this is before their St. Patrick's Day run. So this was like October of 2000.
Okay.
Um, so, obviously they've gone on to do all the other venues, but most folks say that the St. Patrick's Day run are the most special Dropkick Murphys shows. I respectfully disagree because the most special of, I think, Dropkick Murphy show is when they played the minor league baseball stadiums for the Red Sox farm teams.
I
So in
went to two out of the three
2008,
of those.
yeah, 2008. I was before this episode. I dug out I have original posters from each of those events, and
That's
I'm
cool.
like, why aren't these hanging on my wall? So now I'm redecorating. Thanks, Dropkicks. So I mean, they play the Lasher Park in Lowell, Hadlock Field that's in Portland, and then McCoy Stadium, and that's in Pawtucket. So it was the three teams, and this is before like it was a thing to do shows at like say Fenway. I mean,
Yeah.
they obviously Bruce Springsteen had played there, and just and many moons ago there was shows there, but it wasn't the Fenway concert series yet. So Dropkicks to me playing Fenway, it was kind of like they played all the farm teams to then get to Fenway, and that's the most baseball thing ever to do, and they're such baseball fans, right? So and they played back to back shows, so back to back to back. So it was in July. It was like a
Yeah.
crazy. So that was their weekend, and tickets were $32.
Yeah. And they played with the Boss Tones, which was
Yes.
like it
Yep.
was like the best double bill ever.
Yeah. Yeah. It was great. So I think, and then my second favorite Dropkick Murphy show that I think is special, just because I was a part of that one too, it was we teamed up with Radio BDC, which is now Indy 617. Shout out to Johnny L. And we convinced Budweiser and Jameson to give us money to pay the Dropkicks to play their own bar in Boston, McGreevy's, which RIP. Like, it stinks that it's no longer. And to make it a free show. And they were only going to play a few acoustic songs, and they ended up playing a whole set people went nuts that night, and it was, I still remember that. We'll throw up some videos for that. But again, that was the most Boston of, Dropkick shows, to do a free show in a bar, their bar, and have just people RSVP to get in. And there was a line outside. I mean, it was in November, so it's cold. So people like, lining the street to get in. So that was a really fun night for sure. And that also was put together with our friend Melissa and Adam, who we used to work with on some other projects for a promoter. So I mean, when I think of Dropkicks, I think of three things, right? Shipping up to Boston, which was in The Departed in 2006. I think of Murphy's Boxing. So where Irish Mickey Ward is friends with Ken, and they do a lot of events. And I'm originally from Lowell, Massachusetts. So Mickey's my guy. And, to see him with the Dropkicks is always a fun time. And then third, the Claddagh Fund. So Dropkicks also give back to the community. So the Claddagh Fund helps, veterans, children, and people with addiction. So they also are not just a killer band putting on these amazing, most of Boston shows. And I think they always bring Boston to other parts in the world. And to me,
Yeah.
that's always a fun thing. But they also are doing good. So yeah, that's my Dropkicks. My love of Dropkicks is they're just the most Boston of Boston.
I remember they played in between like the first and second period or second and third period of a Bruins game. And I think they might have even actually like broadcast that performance on Nesson, or at least they did like a little part of it. And I just remember being like, that's the coolest moment. Like, as a person who like literally only cares about hockey and music, it's like, this is like my whole life is happening and I'm not there. And it was driving me crazy. But
Yeah.
I, went on to see the Dropkicks at the Garden. I think they opened for Foo Fighters.
Oh, that's a good band to open for.
They opened for somebody. It was awesome. And I think
Yeah.
they came
I mean,
out.
they've also
I've seen Springsteen a handful of times, and I'm pretty sure the Dropkick Murphys have come out like at least at two of the whatever 5 or 6 shows I've gone to for Bruce Springsteen. So they're always around at something.
That's great. Yeah, and I've seen them at Fenway as well. Again, going back to the minor league parks, they came up through the Red Sox system, farm system. But for this episode, we also have a secret weapon.
Bum, bum,
And
bum.
It is our producer, Clay. Clay does a lot of work with the Murphys, and
for Boston.
There he is.
There it is. Yes.
So Clay, tell us a little
Hey.
bit about your Dropkicks experience. There's probably many.
There's probably many, and yeah, I could spend a lot of time fact checking you guys, but I won't. That For Boston song
How
is like
dare
the Boston College fight song, and
Yeah,
what
that's
was
cool.
when they recorded that, just like Tessie is like an old song, and so shipping, like they use old folk songs to make, re-record, and they have a whole Woody Guthrie album that they just came out with. But anyways, they're like a roots rock, punk rock band, and it's just cool that they are able to like sort of, I don't, repackage isn't the right word, but like rework like older folk songs, like in the tradition of folk music, which I think people think like I think that people think that they're just like a punk rock band, but they really kind of have roots more into like some of the music you've been talking about the past couple episodes. Like definitely like they have a relationship with Bruce. Like he's like a guest on one of their songs, and so like the stuff that like Bruce Springsteen's influences by, like definitely they're influenced by too. So I just like I know a lot of people. It's funny working for the band because like some people kind of have like a real strong opinion of the band, but they don't know them that well, or like they don't realize like where the band is coming from, which I'm not defending the band, but I just like I see when people I see how certain people react, and I'm like, dude, you should probably give it a chance. I mean, listen to the song State of Massachusetts. Like that's definitely like one of my favorite songs. And it's about like, it's about like kids in the system that, like they're overlooked and, like that they don't have enough resources and stuff like that. But I guess like in 2011 or so, it was shortly after I got sober. I was asked to join them and backstage helping out because my friend Evan is their tour manager, and my friend Adam was the tour manager of the Boss Tones, and they both sort of asked me to start working for both of those bands around the same time, and I had like a little bit of like imposter syndrome. Like I was like, there's no way I could like work for like a band that big. Like I don't even know what you need me to do. Um, but eventually I never forget like getting that call and saying yes and like figuring out how I was going to work around my other jobs and stuff. And I've worked for them ever since then, every St. Patrick's Day. And basically myself and my friend Rachel, like and no other band has this. It's a really unique position that we have. We're the guest list coordinators.
That must
I'm
be
not saying,
insane that time of
yeah,
year.
yeah, and not like other bands or artists don't have teams like that, but we have a really unique job because it's a really unique special band, and we're really lucky to have it. So like Ken has a list. He's basically he's like very generous. Like, like if he's went to middle school with somebody and he runs into them at the grocery store and he says they're playing, and it like, oh, can I go on the list? Everybody's friends with Kenny when they come to the guest list window. But basically it's a job of not just myself, but of two people, Rachel and myself, to make sure that the guests are all sorted, escort older family members in, or anybody that has like special needs, like special seating arrangements and things like that. And we've been doing it hardcore like since 2011, and um I'm really proud. I'm really proud to work for the guys. It's a fun job. I always tell whoever I'm working with, like, well, you're not going to have me, even if I have like a full-time, office job. It's like, well, you're not going to see me for that week. Like I'll take my vacation time to work for Dropkick Murphys week.
I can vouch for that. He's taking vacation time to go on tour.
Yeah.
To work.
Yeah. And then I have gone out with the guys a couple times because like, it's still like kind of a small team, even though they're like a pretty big band. Like they tour on a bus and everything. So like, but like if the main production manager like can't make it, I went out for a week with them, and I'm not really great. I thought that I would be like, my dream job would be like to go out on the road with the band. And I've done it with Dropkick Murphys. I've done it with the Boss Tones. I've like tour managed the Boss Tones, and that's like 14 guys. And it's just not, it's hard to say that like it's a hard job, and it's definitely not for me. And the people that do it and they love it, I'm glad that they love it, because I just found it like it just doesn't sync with how I like to live my life. Like I like to like sleep in my own bed and stuff. But that's not to say like I had a blast. Like I had a blast going on a tour with them, and like I left tour managers like like computer adapter in the other city, so we had to like call them up and have them like FedEx it to the next town and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean it's great. And now like actually I've kind of like passed the reins onto I was sort of like the main guest list person. Now I've kind of like I've kind of flipped it so that my partner Rachel she's like more in charge now, and I'm like I'm like her assistant, and I'm happy to have it be that way, because she really has a lot of like passion. She could be out on the road, so if she wants to get the opportunity to do that, and like if they play a show in New Hampshire or Maine, she's up there with them. Well, I used to get those calls, but now she gets those calls, and I couldn't be happier because they love Rachel. They love me too, but they love Rachel, and like the opportunity to have like a touring member of the opposite sex is like kind of a weird. It's not weird, but it's like I feel like she should have the opportunity more than I should, and she actually does. She deserves it, and she's probably like a little bit better at it than I am, anyway. So I see that to her. But you guys got really personal on the last couple episodes, and I just want to say, like, these guys, like, they're really honestly they practice what they preach. Some of them, and I'm not gonna like mention like who, but like some of them, they're very open about this. Like some of them are sober. Like they might have like two touring buses, one where you're drinking coffee and one that has beers. And they're like very supportive of like there's the Claddagh Fund, which raises money for addiction specifically, but also for other things, like when there was like the tornadoes in the Midwest and stuff. They're honestly just really sweet guys, and I'm really glad to know them and have them be a part of my life. Like I've been to weddings, and it's a thing. It's like I don't think that if I didn't get sober, I would have gotten the call to go work for them in the first place. And then just being around them, it's like a supportive environment for somebody that's sober, because a lot of people think that they're like a drinking band or something, but they're not really. If you look down at it, it's like they make art about like, like the fun part of like being drinking and stuff, which is like, obviously like a big part of it, like whiskey and Irish and all that stuff. But it's kind of like, if you really look at it, it's like more about the lessons you learned after you gotten sober and how those times were fun and everything. But they're
Wait,
so
they're
sweet.
Irish?
Yeah. But I just want to say they're so sweet, and when I lost my mom, like a couple of the guys like showed up and they were there for me, and I really appreciate that. And they're just like they're such good people, and we're really lucky to have them sort of represent, like you said, like all over the world. Like they when they tour, they sell out all their shows, and like they're literally so huge in Europe, and they play all the South American festivals, they play Australia, they play all over the world. And not only, yeah, I can vouch for what you said earlier, Sylvia. Like Ken has like literally a checklist of he wants to play every place. And he booked a garden show for Dropkick Murphys, even on a weekend of um of the St. Patrick's Day thing. But like he wanted to play there, so he did. So he checked it off. He checked it off Agganis Arena. He checked off Roadrunner. He wants to play every venue to say like I did it, and so it's just really special. And now I'll reveal the sweater, which was when we played Agganis Arena. They gave the crew, everybody on the crew got one of these cool
Those
Dropkick
are
Murphys.
so sick.
And check this out.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
with the Bruins font.
They got everybody got a custom jersey with their name on it. I mean, it's just like, and
That's nice.
the only other time I wore this like out, well, it's not like I'd never wear it, but I got to wear it when I met Kevin Smith. I was like, I want to wear this. Like,
That's
it's my
cool.
only hockey jersey I have. So that's
Yeah.
my brief history with Dropkick Murphys. But yeah, have you guys have any questions about the guys or anything like that?
Can I get on the guest list?
Can you go through the house?
Okay, fine. Thanks, producer friend.
So one of my like favorite Dropkick moments, so their old guitar player Mark had this very short-lived side project called Gimme Danger. And I remember they played at what used to be Jillian's in Worcester. And I was like, I went with a buddy, and my friend was like, "Oh, dude, Dropkick Murphys are playing at Jillian's." And I was like, "Well, technically no. Like it's different, but like
That
some
band
of
is so good.
they
What a
were
rock and
so
roll
good.
band.
They were
They were
freaking
great.
awesome. And like it was the first time I think it might have been the first time I ever heard Up on Cripple Creek by the band because they covered it. And I like went home and I was telling my dad about it. I'm like, hey, have you ever heard this song? And he's like, yeah, like a million times. And then it went on to it's like easily my favorite band song, but like it was such a good show. Didn't realize that Gimme Danger was the name of an Iggy Pop song or a Stooges song. And I like went down a rabbit hole and then fell in love with the Stooges and like all because I went and saw this very small side project band play. And I was like, oh, and it was cool because it was like it influenced me to check out the Stooges and the band, who couldn't be more different from each other. And then I ended up seeing they played a couple more shows in Worcester, like a little later on. But it was so cool. And again, it just brought that like here's this Irish punk rock band, but then the members are playing straight up rock and roll with all these different influences and you know turning me on to other bands that I probably should have known at that point. But
They really are more Springsteen than Pogues, although they are that too. That it's like you can't like ignore the Irish part, but if you really listen to the catalog and how they've progressed when they put out studio albums. They're working with Ted Hutt now for the past few albums, and that guy's an amazing producer. And they get to the roots, and they're just a good rock and roll band, in my opinion. I consider them a rock band more than like a punk band. And I will say too, I forgot to mention this, but Fabio sent over some facts about the band, and yeah, Ken started this band on a dare.
really?
And yeah, Ken didn't know how to play bass or play guitar or anything. And the other thing is that a whole history that I forgot to say was I was there when this band was formed, not like physically in the room, but my friends are playing Saturday matinee shows at the Rat. I just moved to the city, going to Mass Art. And my friend was in a band called Bastard Squad, named after, if you ever watch The Young Ones, that's like a fake band that's on The Young Ones. So, but Bastard Squad would play, and my friend Jerry, who's the singer, my friend Andre, like they were close with Kenny, and then like my friend Jerry like drew their first logo. It's the cover for Do or Die. It's like the Fred Perry logo with the skull in it. Like he drew that. Like literally Ken would come by the house in Alston and like pick up like Jerry's like silk screening their first like shirts, like running up the power bill, making screens in his house. And yeah, it's like I was at those first Dropkick Murphy shows at the Rat 25 years ago. So when they had the tour for their anniversary tour, I was like, it's like, it's weird. Like life's like so strange. Like it goes by in a blur. Like I like really took that time to reflect and be like, wow, I've been here since the beginning. Really. That's kind of strange. But I was there at those first shows, and they had their first singer, Mike McColgan. He went on to do Street Dogs, another great rock and roll band. They're more of like
such
a
a great
kind of rock and roll
such a
band.
great band.
And then Ricky Barton, who is like their original guitar player, like he's such a nice guy, and was in the band back then, like at the Rat days, and then he made this cool band called the Continental with his son, and the reason I even know these guys is through they always give opportunities to local bands and their friends bands to like open these big shows, and they're very humble and cool. And like I said, like I'm really just glad that I know them as friends, because I know that they could have like big ego rock stars attitude, but they really don't. They're just so nice. They're so nice.
Yeah, I've been looking at the venues that they've played just in our area, and I didn't realize when I was making that statement they'll play all the venues. They really will play all the venues. I mean, they played a flight from Boston to Dublin acoustically. Like,
oh, I remember that.
That's cool.
That was after
gate E4
the
people.
weekend.
E4.
It was after the weekend, and
Yeah.
they basically had and I've worked some weird shows with them, like at Foxwoods in like a small bar, you
Mhm.
know, kind of like it was probably similar to, I wasn't at that McGreevy show, but I know all about it. But
Yeah.
that similar sort of thing where it's like they can play, they're a little adaptable because they'll maybe just have like a couple of the guys and do like an acoustic set, like a couple when Conan did his when I'm not legally allowed to be on TV tour at the Box
Mhm.
Center. I was at that show, and then they
Yeah.
were like, "Oh, my friends at Dropkick Murphys," and a couple guys came out and played a couple songs. But that one at the airport, I remember because they wanted to play specifically St. Patrick's Day in Ireland or something. Is there a date on that?
Well, March 16th.
Yeah. Okay. So it was the 16th. We did our run of shows, and then they were like, and then we got the airport trail. Like, what are you talking about? So
Yeah.
they had the equipment set up in there, like a little tiny stage, and they basically played to whoever was like in the airport, and there was like fun video of that too. Like they were like, because that was another like Ken checklist thing. It's like, I want to play Ireland on St. Patrick's Day. Like, of course he does. And he did it. And they did it on
played
the way
8
in
songs.
Logan.
They played 8 songs at Logan.
Yeah,
8.
It was like
it wasn't
real
like
show
2 or
with,
3. It was a real show.
It wasn't
ending
like they
with,
just pulled out the guitars. They had like equipment there and stuff for them to play.
Yeah. Ending with what song? Can anybody guess what song they ended with?
I'm
Shipping.
gonna go with yeah, probably.
Well, what did they start with?
For Boston.
No, I bet you Clay knows.
What do they? I don't know.
What year was it?
This.
2015.
State of Massachusetts.
No,
I couldn't tell you.
The Boys Are Back.
Yeah.
They took
It's a
you on
great
that
rockin'
journey.
song. Yeah.
Rose tattoo. Yeah, like this is a legit set.
That's so crazy.
And then they also played the Big E recently.
Yeah.
They'll play. I saw.
I love it.
From that.
I want them to play at my place. Can you please have them play my rooftop deck?
And if you're familiar with that song, Rose Tattoo,
I'll bring Mickey.
they I think they made one of those kind of videos where they ask people to send in a picture of your rose tattoo, but it's really a song about loss and stuff like that. And I waited not too long, but after my mom passed away, I got myself a rose tattoo with my mom's name on it and some Sherlock Holmes kind of stuff in tribute to it. And I showed it to the guys, and they were so sweet. They were like, "Oh, that's so nice." And
I have a rose tattoo.
Comes up and shows them. Yeah.
For my mom.
Everyone loves to show them. So,
now I have to get one for my mom.
Yeah.
Because I was debating what to get her. Well, to get for in memory of her, but now, she hated tattoos, but
well, listen to the song, you'll be pretty convinced that it's a good one. It's a good one to pay tribute.
Maybe this is why we're doing this. We're doing this episode. I was debating what to get, and now I'll get a rose tattoo for my mom. So there we go. That'll be another episode. We're getting deep. We're getting really deep with these episodes.
I know, right?
Well, I only felt the permission to get that personal with it. Well, because I actually do I know the guys, but also just that you guys gave me permission to be say some of the things you've been saying in the last couple of episodes. Be like, okay, I can share some personal stuff. I think that people might.
I think it's important. Yeah, any performer, artist, or anything I listen to, I have to connect on some level. And I think being your true authentic self on here or anything you do is very important, because people see right through it. If you're like, well, I was backstage and I was so VIP going through, I'm like, no, nobody gives a, what, I don't want to be bleeped out on the podcast platform, but I think it's important to be who you are. And so thank you for sharing that. That's, I know it's hard sometimes to do that. I am not the best communicator. So maybe this podcast will be helping me with my communication skills. Even though I'm in marketing, right? I could talk to you about marketing all day. If you want to get personal with me, yeah, it's hard.
I mean, I could tell stories about how one of the singers yelled at me because I didn't move the drinks, that he specifically asked me to move the drinks before this particular song because he likes to sit on the bagpiper's amp. or and like, make sure you do this. Like, I definitely will. And then the song comes on and plays it, and he's just looking at me from the stage, like points at the drink. It's still there. You know, there's a million little stories like that from the road, but all in good fun. It's not like I got fired over that. It wasn't a big deal. It's just funny.
I will have to have a follow-up episode with Ken or, you know, some of the guys. That'd be a fun thing to do. Like we've been booking just some of our friends working in the business, and I think yeah, we have a lot coming up, and I get excited about things like this because now we're sort of interviewing you in a way. We're practicing.
Right.
Well, I've been doing podcasts for a long time, and then I was like, this is gonna be awesome. I'll just edit the thing. And here you got me on
And
right.
here you are.
Yeah.
What, 6 episodes in? Whatever. 7 episodes in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was like, I think I was editing one of the other episodes, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm glad Fabio is getting some screen time here. So like,
Oh, he's gonna have some screen time and another one coming up that we'll discuss with another episode because he's gonna meet a very famous person in June. So
Oh, I think I know who it is, and I don't, but I'm pretty sure I can put it together.
look at him, he's already crying right now. He's preparing now. Yeah, very
That's
iconic
awesome.
person. So he'll get some screen time. I think we'll, you know, I'm meeting that person too, but it doesn't matter. It's gonna be his show. So
Nice.
It's going to be a very emotional moment for me. I'm just saying that now.
please form sentences. Please form sentences. Just practice. Like write down. Well, you did last time. Anyway, never mind.
Yeah.
We'll get into that in another episode.
Bye.
Clay, before we let you go, do you
Yeah.
have like a favorite drop? I know this is probably the hardest question because like, how do you pick one? But do you have a favorite Dropkick show that you've ever seen?
I would say, I was going to mention this when we were talking about the venues. There's that really cool spot. I think it's called the Bank New Hampshire Pavilion now.
Oh
up
yeah,
in
yeah.
Guilford.
Yeah.
And it was called something else before then.
Meadowbrook or something.
Yeah, Meadowbrook. And it was on the itinerary to go work that. And I was like, this is awesome. And my family lives in New Hampshire. So that was a highlight one that like I got to work, but also it was a really cool show because my sister was there, my nieces came, and they, you know, anytime I've like brought like they used to do pre-pandemic, like they do the stage invasion thing where everybody comes on stage.
Yeah. Was that during Kiss Me I'm Shit Faced? Is that when they would bring everybody up?
They would do that, and they did it for years, and now they obviously don't do it anymore. But or maybe not obviously, but they don't do it anymore after the pandemic, and they have a different stage show. It's a lot of video, a lot of cool stuff. They're really 2024 progressive as far as the stage show is concerned, because we used to have, even in Guilford, it was my job to pull down like a reveal, like a big banner in the back. And then Ken was like, well, he said something a little off color, but he was like, you really got to rip that thing off. But that show in Guilford was awesome. Mostly because my family was there. And then after the show, like I'm hanging out, and literally that place in Guilford, like the band might even say it's like one of the best backstage experiences ever. They have these little huts and like tree houses, and
I've heard that from
all
a lot
these
of
little
bands.
these little places to hide out. Like your dressing room might be like this tree house, and
Wow.
and they have a big like Quonset hut of a catering, and they really wanted to impress Dropkick Murphys. So there was lobster tails, shrimp, oysters, full boat seafood thing. And after the show, I'm sitting at a fire pit talking with my family and a couple of the guys because they had backstage passes, and we're just like hanging out. So like that was like a really special time for me, you know, even like even after all the shows, like, you know, probably the first, and in honesty, when I saw them at the Rat in the 90s, when they first started out, they were like the first of 5 or 6 bands that afternoon, and I was there to see Quincy Punks or Bastards. I was there to support my friend's band, and I was like, I don't really know what this. I don't even understand what Dropkick Murphys is, and like their logo was like drawn with like really shitty drawing of somebody like kicking someone, and I was like, I don't even know what this is. I kind of ignored them for a little while, but I mean, they were around, but I
That
was
didn't
just
work
like,
out. That didn't work out.
yeah,
Couldn't ignore 'em.
I was like, what is this? Because they were the first band out of 6 that day, and I was there to see like the Queers or whatever. Yeah, but like,
Bobby's like, what? What is that band?
Legendary punk band.
But
Tell me
yeah,
more.
I would say that Meadowbrook show was like a great one to work, but also just be at, and like it's like a special memory to me because my family was there, and like I had to get up to New Hampshire to like work this thing, but it was super cool. That's my top Dropkicks memory. I think maybe I'm even just thinking of the food because it was so good.
I mean, I've never wanted a lobster tail more in my life than right now, and it's like 11 in the morning. So, did you happen to make it to the Sex Pistols tour that they opened?
I was not around for that. No.
Okay, I don't know. I mean, this was 2002 or 3 or something like that. But I do remember hearing. I didn't get to go, but I remember hearing about it and just being like, first of all, the Sex Pistols are still doing a thing, and it was kind of like a
Right.
reunion tour. But I thought it was so cool that Dropkicks were opening that. I don't even know if they opened the whole tour, or if they just did Boston. I think they did the whole tour. But I just thought it was so cool that like this little band from Boston gets to play with like the Sex Pistols. Like that's like the coolest thing ever.
That's funny too, because 2002, I think, is when one of my great regrets in life is not ever going to see Joe Strummer at Royale.
Yeah.
Because somebody was like, we should go to that show. And I was like, yeah. And it didn't happen. But that's a fun year for like the UK punks to come here and have a once in a lifetime thing. This is why like it is like I think the point that you guys were trying to make on some other episodes is like, go see these bands. Like I've seen the Who twice now. And I never thought I'd get to see the Who. And like I got to ask Pete Townsend a question Comic-Con. Like go to the things that you really, really think that you need to go to, because you blink and you miss it, and then you won't have the opportunity to again. So, and if Dropkick Murphys is on your bucket list, make it so. If you live around here, and if you think that you kind of like maybe even write off the band and say, I don't know, it really is a big time special Boston experience. I think if you live around here where we are, like go see them, but also anywhere around the country. Like I said, they sell out shows everywhere, but go see the band. They're a great rock and roll band. And if you like Springsteen, you'll like them.
Well, we're gonna help. We're gonna help out with the go see the Dropkicks, because we'll be giving away a pair of tickets to one of their Boston shows. Just head to our website, stubstories.net, and enter there. And then we want to hear about your concert experience for sure.
Yeah. And get there early because Pennywise is opening, and Pennywise rules.
Yeah.
They're so good.
Gonna be great. It's gonna be sing along. So yeah. Is that it?
Sweet. I think that should do it. Let's wrap it up with I was wrapping it up. I was like, what do we do? Oh yeah, we just did that part. Yeah,
we
so
just did that.
I don't know. This is a fun episode. I'm excited. I mean, I'm definitely gonna be diving back into some of the later Dropkick Murphys catalog that I'm not super familiar with. So
yeah. And I'll be hanging up my posters from the 3 minor league parks that I just had sitting in a bag. So I'm going to be doing that.
I found a bag full. I still haven't opened it. It's actually up on the shelf, but I found a bag of band merch that I had that I either didn't wear much of, or I wore too much of and just wanted to keep it forever. And I haven't looked in it, but I know I got a Dropkick shirt at one of those minor league park shows. I think it had the dates on the back, but it was like
It's red.
mine was blue, but it was like Red Sox colors, obviously,
Yep,
and it was
yep.
like the band, but they were like skeletons, I think, maybe even playing baseball. I don't remember, but it was so
There-
cool.
They
That
look like playing
band,
cards.
that artwork is inspired by Army of Darkness. I know because I just did a whole episode about Army of Darkness. It's when the Deadites are like marching, they have like a little marching band. So like they just kind of took that idea,
That's
and
cool.
that was with the Boss Tones too, right? Like
Yeah.
so there's like a bagpiper, a bagpiper with a little, you know, Irish
Scally cap.
scally cap
Yeah.
on that. And oh, I forgot to say, like maybe I have to add a postscript that they recorded another live record at Fenway Park when they played at Fenway Park as a headliner, and I'm actually credited on the DVD on that.
That's
Nice.
cool.
So that's like
Yeah.
that's a great video if you can
You
check it
buried
out.
the lead.
But
Bury the
I
lead.
like it's all a blur. I can't remember what happened yesterday, but that was a great show too. Obviously, but they're huge Red Sox fans. The Red Sox love Dropkick Murphys, obviously, and so do all the great sports teams around here. They definitely have they can go
The
to
fight
any.
song. Yeah,
Yeah,
they have the fight song.
They don't have to ever pay for tickets to a sporting event in this town. I don't think.
That's like my dream
Yeah.
situation in life.
No comment.
Nice.
Nice.
All right. So yeah, enter to win. Go see the Dropkick Murphys. Let us know how you liked it. Send us pictures of your ticket stubs because I'm jealous that people get ticket stubs and I keep ended up getting like the digital thing. So sad. It's so sad.
Yeah. And thank you for joining us for the most Boston of Boston episodes. All right, kid. If it sucks, cool. We tried. Let's do this again next time.
Make sure you guys
Bye.
follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter.
And but not in real
Threads.
life. Don't follow me.
Yeah,
in real life.
not in real life. We're not that excited.
IRL. No. It's stalkerish. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. That was great.
Sweet.
Did you record it?
Do
That
I
would be
want
funny.
a stalker?
Yes.
More. Yeah, I mean, if you guys have any stubs that you want to see, just shoot us a DM with the stubs. We love seeing your stories too, you know?
Yeah, and check out our website, stubstories.net, and on Insta, Stub Stories, because that's where it all started.
Yeah, we'll be on we're on other platforms too, but so watch for more content to start popping up on those as well. Now that we're live in the game.
Official. Thanks.
Yeah. Follow our YouTube too.